Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is coloring adult coloring from the beginning, and my brain is obviously not all here yet today. Uh, so we are still working on skin tones. We've done light skin tones and we've started on the dark skin tones. We did the Brute Funer Square dark skin tones, and now we're going to do the Colorya dark skin tones. Um, we're starting off with the tan tone and then going into the darker skins. So this is the chart for the Colorya. It is available on the Ko-Fi or Coffee, however you want to say it. So that is available to us if you have the pencils and want to use my chart. The sun is coming in at an odd angle on my desk, so I apologize for the weird lights. I did do a little bit of playing around to see the best colors necessary to do a lights dark and a dark dark. So that is what we're going to work on today. We're going to work on this light dark today. I have not done the same thing with the Brute Funers. This was the light skin tone with the Colorya. And I think that the Colorya worked out quite a bit better blending wise than the trying to blend the Brute Funer squares with the darker skins. So we will see how this works out on a larger scale. The small one, like I said, it blended really, really nicely. However, on a larger scale, sometimes you can find that you lay down the color way, way too thin and it doesn't blend as well. So I'm just going to grab my sheet here and we're going to start with the colors that I put out for the light skin tone, and I've lost my pen. There it is. So I've got my pen here. So the first color that we're going to use is 823. And that is Coyote, I do believe. Nope. Hold on a sec. Oh, right. That's why. 823 is Camel. And it's a beigey brown, as you can see here. Now, there are a lot of different undertones for dark skin. So with the lighter skin, tan skin tones, we want it to be a little bit more of a creamy skin tone, not a orange or purple undertone. So I'm just going to zoom you in so that you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Oh, not too far. There we go. And hopefully remove some of that glare. Alright, so I thought I was all ready this morning. Obviously, I'm not. My goodness, I'm everywhere. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to lay down a full layer of this skin tone. I'm going to fix that. My tilt's off. There, that's better. That's better. Now I don't have to, go way over up into the corner of my desk. And we're going to put a very light layer of this camel on the skin. You're not going to see a lot of color on the camera because it is a fairly light skin color. But once we start blending into it, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. And this will give us our tanny undertone. Because, like I said, this is not going to be the darker skin tone yet. We're just working on the tan tones. Now, as you all know, tan tones usually have quite a bit of a peachy undertone, a bit of a yellow color to them. So that's why we're adding this color, to give it that peachy undertone. And again, like I said, it's going to be a little different doing it on the larger scales than on the smaller scales. So below the video you will find this template as well as the smaller template. So if you want to work on multiple different practices for the skin tone, download the smaller template. If you want to work on just this skin tone, you can download this template and that sort of thing. Or if you want to, do this skin tone on one sheeted paper with multiple areas, you can of course just set your printer to print out 4 on one page. 4 copies, 1 page. And I'm just going over the entire face, even the lips. Because she is going to be au natural. And as you can see, there's a difference between that and this. And there's not a whole lot of difference, but there is a difference. So you can actually see some color now. I'm going to go down through here. Now you're going to keep this pencil handy because this pencil is also going to be used to blend our colors together and tone down any heavy areas that are too dark. Now each set of pencils has different variations of these colors. So if you are using a different set of pencils, just look for one that is a brownie cream color. So it's not quite peach, it's not quite cream, it's got a little bit of a brown undertone. And that should work out well. The Colorya set is a smaller set, so you don't have as many variations of colors to choose from. But that does, sometimes help in the understanding of what colors you need. Because if you can do this with a smaller set, then you would have a lot more ability with one of those larger sets, because you would have more variations of this color or any of the other colors that I have. Now, once you get the understanding of a light, medium, and dark skin, you can start adding different colors to it to create a darker skin, to create a more of a tanny skin, more of, you can change those enough to add more color. All right, now the next one we're going to use is 718, which is apricot. And again, we're going in with that peachy tone. I'm going to make sure that we put this down. So the next one is 718. And as you can see, we've got a bit more of a peach tone here. A little bit more orange in it than the first one. And we're going to use this in our shadowing areas, the areas that we want to be darker. This isn't our shadow color, and I am working from light to dark instead of from dark to light because I don't want the light colors to take over the dark colors. I want the dark colors to take over some of the lighter colors, and in order to do that, we've got to put the light colors down first. There are some situations where I will work dark to light, or light to dark, I should say. Most situations I work dark to light, but in situations that I want that dark color to stand out, I will use a dark to light variation. A dark to light build up, I guess would be the words. And I'm just going into those shadow areas, those areas that I know are going to be darker because of the shadows that are going to be cast from her nose, under her lip here, and down her hairline. And I'm not staying really close to the hairline, I'm dragging that out, filling in all the area that's going to be shadowed. And I know it's starting to look like a light skin tone, but it's not going to be, I promise. And then we're going to come down the side of her face just a little bit. We're going to bring it out into her face a bit. Now this part here, because there's just the curve of her face causing the shadow, not an obstruction causing the shadow, we're not going to get too deep into the face with the shadow line. Here we need that shadow line to come down from the hair and the eyebrows. And then under her chin. Now she's got her head slightly tilted this way. Slight turn to it, so we're going to put the shadow a little bit deeper on this side than this side. And we're going to come down her neck. Again, putting in that curvature shadow because she's not flat. She does have curves. And then we've got the shadow of her outfit here. And hopefully I'm still on screen and you guys can still see what I'm doing. The camera is really not liking the sunlight this morning. Like so. Now, if you're doing a more Asian skin, this is one of the ways that you start off with the Asian skin and then you add some cream tones to it to lighten that skin up with those yellow undertones, olivey undertones. The next color we're going to use is 574. And don't freak out on this one. So that's the start. Now we're going to go one more in our shadow areas, which is 574. And this is where we're going to bring in that purple. Oops, sorry, I'm off screen. Bring in that purple tone. Darker skin usually has a undertone of either purple, orange, or red, depending upon the nationality of the person. I do find that the purple works very well on giving us shadow lines for darker skin tones, because when you blend into it with the browns and that sort of thing, it actually creates a bit of a darker brown. Now, as you can see, I'm not going extremely heavy. I'm also not going very far out. This is just to give us that shadow line where that deepest shadow is going to be, where the darkest area of shadow is going to be. We don't want it to be too far out, but we do want it to be there. And the great thing is because you're possibly layering colors upon colors, you can still add a little bit more if you find that the shadow line isn't out as far as you want it to be. But with this being a medium tan tone, we don't want that shadow line to be too far out, creating too much of a darker area. A little bit more over on that side. And just a little bit down here and a little bit down here. We're not going all the way down the curvature of her face with it, because these are deep shadow lines. These aren't full textural, like full curve shadow lines. We're not going to change the edge of her face a lot. Same with up here. I'm not going to come up here a whole lot. This has more shadow because of the hair behind, is going to give a little bit of a shadow on her shoulder, but not a whole lot. So we're not going to put a whole lot on there. This one here, because the hair is over top of her shoulder, is going to have more of a shadow line. So this one here, we're going to come out a little bit more than that one. And then down in through here as well. Doing the shadows for the clothing as well. The deeper areas where the ruffles are sticking out a little bit, go a little bit deeper. All right, now the next color we're going to use is 852, which is Coyote. And as you can see, we're going into some of those browns now. This brown has a bit of a green undertone, which will give us that tanned color. The darker tanned areas. So this is going to be in our shadows. And as you can see, once I go over that purple, it darkens it up quite a bit. It becomes a brown, but a nice dark brown. we're coming in. More into the forehead here. Trying to lighten my hand a little bit where I want the highlighty areas to be. This face is a little strange for that, but you get the gist of it. And like I said, with the larger areas, it can be a little bit more time consuming. So if you just want a quick little figure it out sheet, that will be the smaller sheet. Like I said, I will have both of these sheets available below the video for you to download and print. So if you want to practice your skin tones, you are welcome to use this sheet if you want to. Again, I'm coming through here just really lightly, filling that in. Lifting my hand as I get further into the areas where I want that shadow or that light area to be. And like so. Don't worry if it doesn't look right. Trust the process. It will work itself out. All skin tones go through a stage of, oh dear, what have I done? to, oh, okay, that's not too bad. And I am currently at the, oh dear, what have I done stage. How am I going to fix this stage? But it's fine. It's fine. Like I said, I did practice a little bit last night to make sure that the colors that I had in my head were the colors I needed. Hopefully I don't upset too many people with the colors I've chosen. Just a quick little reminder out there for anybody that is watching this that is not enjoying it. You know, opinions are perfectly fine to have. You can have your opinions. I don't mind your opinions. However, if you have suggestions or you have things that you would prefer that I do or don't do, um, you know, of course, contact me. But please don't contact me from a fake account, um, making very nasty comments on my abilities and my videos. You know, I don't make these videos to say that I'm an expert because I'm not. I'm not even close to an expert. And I have never in any of my videos or any of my live streams ever stated that I am an expert in any of this. These videos are just here to show you what I have learned and to learn with you. Sometimes the things I have done before don't work again. Depends upon the pencil, depends upon the paper, depends upon my mood. You know, all of these things are subject to change, and they will change your coloring. So if, like I said, if you find that you don't like the way I do things, by all means, scroll on by. If you have a suggestion of how to do something a little bit better that I may have not done um, to my own satisfaction, if I have said, you know, I don't like the way that turned out, but thanks for learning that lesson with me. You know, of course, if you have a better way of doing something that will help, of course, absolutely. Send me a message, send me an Instagram message, a text message, an email, that sort of thing. But if you just want to chastise me and criticize me and tell me that I shouldn't be on YouTube, um, please don't. You know, your criticisms and um, chastising does nothing to better my art. So 9 times out of 10, I will ignore um, your comments. So you are welcome to your opinion, of course, and you are welcome to your opinion of my abilities or lack of them, as the last one informed me of. But you don't have the right to decide that my channel shouldn't be here. So I just want to throw that out there for whoever decided that they wanted to do that from a fake account, so I wouldn't know who they were. You're welcome to your opinions, absolutely. However, you're not welcome to criticize and demean me or the processes I go through in these videos. And that's me off of my soapbox now. uh, the next one is 802, which is honey, which is going to be even a yellower. Now this is when we're going to bring that tan in. All right, so now we're going to come in a little bit yellower, a little bit lighter in the areas that the dark is in, because we don't want to turn that too yellow. And as you can see, it's starting to come together as a tan. We have a lot of white spots, so it does look a little choppy, but that too will clear up once we start adding our blender pencil, our blender color. And we're going to use the same color that we started with to blend as much of this as we can. Now, with it being a larger scale, I don't know if it'll blend all of it, and I may need to use a blender pencil. Now, the blender pencils are very important when you're coloring. They do a fantastic job of clearing up that white spot, moving that pigment around to fill in those gaps when you don't want to add any more color. You know, when you feel that the color is at the saturation that you want it to be, utilize your blender to fill in those gaps and give you that smooth look that you want. Now, sometimes you don't want a smoother look. There are definitely calls for the embrace of the white spot. Thank you, Shannon. Um, but sometimes you do want a smoother area, and when you want that smoother area and you feel that your pigmentation is where you want it to be, so the color is deep enough for you and you don't want to add any more color, utilize your blender pencil to bring those colors together and fill in that white spot. You will find that once you fill in that white spot, your colors actually become a little bit brighter. And that's because it's removing that white area. It's actually just filling in all of that white area with the pigment from your pencils. And I'm just going over the entire skin tone with this honey color. And again, like I said, I'm not going too heavily with the honey on top of the other colors because I don't want to yellow down a whole lot in those areas. I do want it to blend into them, but I don't want it to be a bright brown yellow. I just want it to be a brown. And the areas that I went over with the previous color in a lighter hand is going to give us our area that's going to be lighter. So even though I'm still going over it, I'm just using a lighter hand in these areas. I want this color to be there, but I don't want it to be in your face there. Okay. And there is where our basic colors are. Now we're going to blend with number 823. So we're going to take our camel color and we're going to start moving those colors together. And filling in some of that white spot. If you feel that you don't have enough color on your page, you can of course start over. So basically with this factor of using this color as my blender, what this is telling me is whether or not I have enough color on the page. So if this takes it down too far, I know that I don't have enough color on the page, and I'll just start adding the colors again. So you won't need to add your dark colors as much as your lighter colors. So if you feel that your dark colors are fine, don't add them. If you feel that your light colors need to be heightened, re-add them. But this will tell you how much of those colors you need to re-add and how much of them are fine. Now with the amount of white spot that I have left here, I do feel that I need another layer of color, and then I will come back through again with the blender itself because I don't want to add too much more of this lighter color. Now I could just go through with the blender if I was happy with the way the color was looking. So if I thought, okay, well that's the color I want it to be, I don't want to add any more color, I don't want to darken that anymore, I would just come through with the blender. But I'm going to show you how it goes when you add more color on top of it to fill in that white spot. Again, we're just going right over top of the entire face and neck area. And just blending that color out. Alright, now I do feel that I need more of the lighter colors. So I'm going to sharpen my coyote and my honey. And we're going to come in here. Now the coyote is the color that I used in the medium areas. Not quite shadow areas, but the medium areas, bringing that shadow out into the face a little. And blending into that purple. And then down here as well. Just going to blend into that purple a little better. Now if you find that your skin is too dark for what you wanted it to be, you can of course lessen that by adding a bit of white or a bit of cream. So if you find that your highlights are too dark, you can just come in with a bit of cream or a bit of white and tone those down a little bit. If you feel that your skin tone itself is quite a bit darker than you wanted it to be, you can come in with a cream and add a little bit of a yellow, which will bring down some of that color a little bit. Now again, I'm just going into all of those areas that I wanted to have that medium tone, the darkest. I'm not going all over, I'm just going where I wanted that medium tone to be the darkest. And here. All right. And then we're going to use our honey. First, we're going to brush off our page because we don't want to drag any of that color around. And I'm going to sharpen the honey. And then we're going to go over the whole thing again, using a fairly light hand in the areas that we want it to be the lightest. But still putting down the color. And I think we are going to take a bit of a blender pencil to this, because I don't want to go too much darker, because I want that tanned skin tone. I don't want a dark skin tone. I want her to look like she has a golden tan, not you know, that she's been out in the sun, not that she's a heavily dark skin. So our next lesson will be one of the final lessons on skin tone. I was kind of hoping to have them all done in July, but there's so many different variations of skin tone that I'm going to extend it into August. We're going to do skin tones as well as hair. So we've got a couple more lessons on skin tones to do, and then we've got some lessons on hair as well. So I want to do a dark skin tone, a heavy dark skin tone, as well as a fantasy tone. And then we'll work on some hair, and then we'll be ready to do a portrait. So we will choose one of the artists that have a lot of really good facial pictures that I feel have a good learning standard to them. Christine Caron is a Canadian artist, and she has a wonderful ability to make coloring skin very easy. So we will utilize her pages. So if you don't have any Christine Caron, of course all of these techniques can be used anywhere in any of your books. If you have a book that has a skin tone that you want to color, any of these can be used for that. Basically, with coloring with any other pencils other than the Colorya and the Brut Puners and the Faber-Castells, of course you need basically some cream tones some lighter peachy tones, and some brown, light brown tones to do this tan skin. If you're doing a darker skin, you'll need a few other colors, and we'll go through that on the next video. But for your shadows, you'll need a purple to give you that deep shadow line. Now you could do that with a chocolate or with a dark brown as well. The purple just gives you that little tiny bit of a red tone, a bit of a red undertone area. So it doesn't look like they've got dirt under their chin. It looks like there's a shadow there. You know what I mean? Now I'm not pressing really hard on my blender. I do have some imperfections in the paper that are causing me to want to press really hard on my blender. But I'm not. I'm behaving. Now we're not going to add any cheek color or anything like that. We're just going to smooth out this skin. Now I'm using the Caran d'Ache Bright Stick, which is the full blender. Now you don't have to use the Caran d'Ache Bright Stick. You can use whatever blender you enjoy using that you find moves your pencil the way you want it to move. I enjoy using the Bright Stick, especially on wax-based pencils, because it does move the pigment very nicely without peeling it off the page, and it brightens it up a little bit. Some blenders, such as the Prismacolor blender, does have a tendency to lift or scratch the pigment off the page, the wax off the page, and I don't like that. I find it is so grating on my nerves. All right. And once I get this part here done, you will be able to see the skin tone as it is, and you'll be able to see the tan color of her skin instead of the peach color. I'm going both ways with my blender, just moving that pigment around. Getting into all of that white spot and smoothing that color out. Do try to go in the opposite direction of your pigment laydown. So when I laid down the pigment, a lot of it I laid down in strips, back and forth. Now I'm going over it with the blender up and down. And I'm using more of a oval up and down motion instead of a small circular motion. I am going in with small circular motions where there's an oddity in the page that isn't straight or just a small dot. I've got a weird line that's going through the page. It's really kind of bugging me. So this will not be the same on every paper. Again, every paper is different. Every page is different. Find what works best for you. Now, I have never done a dark skin tone with the Colorya pencils, so I think I was able to find a really good combination for a light tan skin tone. And it is definitely one that I will keep in mind. Now I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to try to lift up or take the shine off of that wax a little bit. Also shows me where I need to go over a little bit more because I've got weird paper. Now if you press too hard on your blender, you may find that you're removing your pigment, not moving it. And you don't want to remove it, you just want to move it. So try not to press too hard. I have a habit of doing that with my blenders and getting frustrated because the pigment is lifting off the page. Now basically what you're doing at this point is burnishing that page. So unless you're doing it really, really light-handed, you're going to remove some of the tooth of that page and you will not be able to add more color. So do this as a final step. Do not do this and then say, oh, well, I need to add this, this, and this, and I've pressed too hard on my blender, so now I can't. Don't blend in between layers. You will find that you run out of tooth of your paper and you will not be able to get all the layers on your page. So don't worry if it looks a little like this while you're coloring. It will get to this point after you have all of your colors on the page. All right, so there we are fully blended. Again, I'm just taking my finger and removing any sort of blender lines or wax buildup and shine off of her face. So we have subtle shadows up here where her hairline is and down here where it comes over her face. We've also got a subtle shadow under behind her nose as well as under here and down in her chest and dress area. I don't like this one, so we're going to blend this one out a little. I haven't blended down here, so. But there we have our tan toned color for the Colorya. So we've got 823, 718, and 574. Those are your base colors. Your base color to start with is going to be a light pinky browny color. It's called Camel. I can't read. And then we're going to go over that with apricot. And then for your shadow areas, we're going to add that purple in. And then we're going to start adding those tan tones. Go over the shadow areas quite heavily with your 852, sorry, which is coyote. It's got a bit of a yellow undertone, a little tiny bit of that olive green undertone. Go over the entire picture with this. Heavier in the areas that you want your shadows to be, lighter in the areas that you want those highlights to come through. So as you can see through here, it is a little bit lighter down here and through here, you know, on her lips. It's a little bit lighter than it is, say, through here, where I went a little bit heavier with the coyote. And the next one is honey, and that covers your entire page. Again, go a little bit lighter in those highlight areas and then go again with your 823, which is camel, and judge from that point if you need to add more color. If you feel that you need to fill in more of the white spot before you blend, add some more color. And that's what I did today, is I added another layer of the coyote and the honey, and then used the blender pencil because I didn't want it to get much deeper in color than that. So that is the Colorya tan skin tone. We will be doing one more tan skin tone in the Faber-Castells, and then we'll be coming through next week. And I'm going to actually put this on a smaller scale. I'm going to put 4 on a page, and I'm going to come through and I'm going to do all the dark skin tones at the same time, just so that we don't have a lot of boring videos doing the exact same thing with different pencils. All right, guys. So that is the lesson for today. This is our tan skin tone for the Colorya colored pencils. I will be back again next week, of course, with the Faber-Castells, and then the week after that we will do the dark skin tones. Like I said, you can do this with any set of pencils. Just remember to start off with your lightest colors, work up into your darker colors. Choose the colors that may make you feel that it's going to give you the best results for the skin tone that you want and for the paper that you're using, because every paper is very different. If you're using a paper that has a creamy undertone to it, so it's almost a yellowy color, you will find that the pencils will work differently and show differently on that creamy paper. So work with what your paper is, work with what your pencils are, and find the colors that best suit your needs. My greatest and best advice that I can give at this point for skin tones when you're working with a darker skin tone is to start with your lightest color first and work your way up into your darker colors. The only dark color that you should be putting down right away after you put down your base layer is your shadow color. I use purple. I use a pale purple for my light skin tones and a dark purple for my darker skin tones. Now you can use a sienna brown, anything like that that has a red undertone as well for those shadow areas. I prefer to use the purple because it does give a bit of a red, but it doesn't give too much red. All right, guys, with that, I would like to say thank you all very much for watching. Of course, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. And of course, always remember to relax, color, and stay safe, everyone. Until next time, bye-bye for now.